All right, so we're back here, continuing our NFL preview. We're previewing the New England Patriots. So I got my guy Barry from the Pro Fan Sports Podcast. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. Glad to be back on here.
Yeah, man. Most definitely long overdue. We definitely got to talk about
Absolutely.
the New England Patriots. So,
hmm
yeah, pretty interesting offseason. So, what are your thoughts on the offseason? And then what do you deem as the team's biggest acquisition?
Yeah, I think this team has certainly lost quite a bit off season. And then things have changed, particularly with Josh McDaniels, their offensive coordinator, who had been with the team for a long time. He ended up going off to the Las Vegas Raiders and getting a head coaching job over there, and then believe the assistant GM and Dave Ziegler ended up tagging along with them, and he also I think took a few guys on the Patriots coaching staff with him to Las Vegas that are coaching well for the Raiders with him. So they had, pretty much just a lot to, big shoes to fill and a lot to make up for. Um, as far as, that void offensively that, they're missing with him not being the play caller. And then pretty much they ended up bringing back both Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, with Matt Patricia really being the offensive line coach, and so far the guy who's been running the offense. Um, for them as far as play calling, even though they split duties, with him and with Patricia and Joe Judge on the preseason game against the Giants on Thursday night. But he's certainly been taking more of the role of, pretty much, running and overseeing the, whole offense. And then Joe Judge, works, with the quarterbacks now with, Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer and the rookie that they just drafted, and Billy Zapp. So, so it's definitely a big, transition and, huge, change in terms of the offensive system that this team is going to be, running this year. They're still trying to get acclimated and used to, running the system. So I think that's certainly going to take some time to gel and to be able for them to, uh, be able to really get, execute at a high level the, the offensive system that the, coaches, want to run. They made a few, acquisitions. They ended up bringing back Malcolm Butler, uh, to play corner since they ended up losing J.C. Jackson, who went to the Chargers, who ended up signing a big contract with the, Los Angeles Chargers. I almost said San Diego.
I
I
know,
had to
right?
catch myself
Yeah.
on that and pause for a second. I was about to say San Diego, but the Los Angeles Chargers now. So he ended up going over there. They signed Malcolm Butler. They got Terrence Mitchell, who's another corner, for them. Another veteran corner coming in to, help in that position as well. They ended up getting, Jabril Peppers, who's like a safety and stuff. So he's, going to be playing on the back end of the, secondary. And they ended up getting Devontae Parker, who I think was the biggest, acquisition for this team, and an acquisition that I certainly like and think that's going to help this team a lot offensively. He's certainly, I think, the most talented, receiver that they have on, on the roster so far. So if he can definitely stay healthy, he's had some issues with, injuries and staying on the field, but certainly if he can stay, healthy and and be able to play, the majority of the games this season, I think that he'll certainly have a successful and really good season with us, and will help this team a lot, from an offensive standpoint, and yeah, and I think those are the pretty much biggest acquisitions, with this team. They also got Mac Wilson, who is a linebacker, and I think he's going to be playing some inside linebacker for us. And they traded away Chase Winovich, who they drafted uh, for Michigan a couple years ago, and he unfortunately never really panned out to to be a good player for us, and didn't really fit what the Patriots were trying to do from a defensive standpoint. So they ended up sending him to the Browns and getting Matt Wilson, and yeah, and I think that's pretty much it as far as like the main changes to uh, to this team so far. So it's been quite in off season for them, and now going into training camp, it's um, been an interesting start for them, to say the least, in the first couple weeks camp. So yeah, that's, I think, pretty much a good breakdown on what we've seen or what had transpired with this team. In the offseason. Oh yeah, in the draft, I'll just quickly go through the main picks that they got in the NFL draft. So they ended up having a strange pick, drafting Cole Strange. Uh, you caught that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they drafted an offensive lineman, a guy who's expected to be starting for them on week one against the Dolphins. So he's be in there playing in the preseason game, and actually, didn't look bad. He actually, I thought had a, decent game, and and definitely held his own on there for his first, in an NFL game, his debut. So we'll see how he does this year, but it's definitely really weird seeing the Patriots take an offensive lineman um, in the first round of the draft, since they had so many um, more important needs that are definitely shocked and caught the fan base by surprise, including myself. So um, yeah, we'll see how he does. Hopefully, he pans out and can be able to you know be a good piece to to the offensive line for us this year. And then they ended up drafting in the second round Tyquan Thornton, who has looked pretty good in camp so far. Though he's a wide receiver, a very speedy guy. Think ran a 4.2. He had the fastest time in the combine this year, and has certainly impressed in camp. Can certainly fly down the field, and and is certainly been doing a good job on his route running, and being able to um, great separation through him being able to run good routes so far in camp, and even played well in the preseason game against the Giants last week. So he certainly had a good start to camp so far. So we'll see how he continues to progress and play as the preseason, goes along, and as we get into the regular season, which is around the corner. But so far he's actually one of the few receivers that's actually, Chris, turned out well for us, because we haven't had too much luck in drafting receivers. Particularly in the first couple rounds, and pretty much all the receivers we've drafted recently hadn't really, it hadn't panned out and turned, out to be good picks for us. So Hopefully, Taquan Thornton can be, uh, be a good draft pick for us and be a good player and be able to contribute. And I think he's certainly going to get his opportunities, to be able to, be, have a part and be involved in this offense, right out of the gate starting in week one.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you deem as the biggest storyline head to the season for this Patriots team?
I mean, it has to be Mac Jones and also the two, new offensive coaches, because and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, because like I said, they had Josh McDaniels be the offensive coordinator and really a guy that worked with the quarterbacks for so long. He had worked with Tom Brady through Brady's whole time with the Patriots when Tom was here with us, and then he worked with Mac Jones last year, in his rookie season, and I think did a really good job, coaching Mac Jones and uh, and running the offense and uh, being able to get the best out of Mac Jones and put him in the best positions to succeed. So I think now Mac, with Mac Jones not having an experienced offensive coach, um, on the staff and a guy in an experienced offensive play caller, I think the biggest storyline heading into the season is how is it going to work out with with him and the coaches as far as the relationship they're gonna have, and if they'll be able to mesh, uh, between him and Mac Jones, Joe Judge, and Matt Patricia, and uh, and if it actually works, having two guys running the offense instead of one guy running the offense, and and just how the offense as a whole is going to look with pretty much those two guys, being in charge. So I mean, so far it's been a rocky and tough start for them. They've had some struggles in the preseason, and uh, Mac Jones didn't play in the preseason, but in training camp, I meant to say, they certainly struggled to you know be able to run a functional offense. So hopefully they're able to get through those growing pains soon and actually be able to um, you know play better offensively and in practice and in camp, and uh, and hopefully they can get better as they go, as the camp goes along. So we'll see how that that goes, with the rest of camp. And but yeah, that's certainly the biggest storyline that with this team, and that all Patriots fans, including myself, are going to be following and keeping our eyes on moving forward.
Okay, cool, cool. And what's your thoughts on this offense, and then also just the outlook on this offense going to the season for the Patriots?
Well, I certainly like what I'm seeing with the receiver position. They have a good amount of depth in that position, Chris, with having Devontae Parker, like I previously talked about him, you know being a guy that can certainly be able to make plays for us, down the field, can stretch the field, and also make you know plays on the intermediate routes and the and on the short routes as well. So he can do a little bit of everything. So, and he's a big body and a big target. So he's definitely going to be really helpful for this team in the red zone. So and then they also have guys like Kendrick Bourne, who I like a lot, who certainly, he can play a little bit of everything. They've, kind of used him as sort of like a hybrid guy. He can play some slot, can play some outside receiver, can, sometimes they even have him in the backfield and do some like jet sweeps, with him and stuff. So they have him a little bit of everywhere on the field. So I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how he does this year, since he had a pretty good uh, season last year in his first year with the Patriots. So hopefully he continues to get better and has a better year too, with the team. And then you also have Jacoby Myers, uh, who got, who's going to enter in his contract year and has, certainly been a solid receiver for us, a good slot guy, for the Patriots. So hopefully he continues to, play well and continues to, to get better and improve and have a better season than he did, last year, since him and Mac Jones had a pretty good rapport. And good chemistry as well. So hopefully they're able to be able to pick up where they left off from last season. And then you have the rookie, like I talked about, Taquan Thornton has been pretty good for us so far. Hopefully he can continue to play well and keep that up for the rest of camp and going into the season. And then Nelson Aguilar, who's had a pretty good camp and stuff, but there's questions on whether they would keep him, on the team, since the rookies played so well and has been outplaying him so far through in camp. So there's questions as far as whether he'd be the odd man out for this team and whether he'd be, and whether they'd trade him or release him. But the thing is, they paid him a lot of money. Last year, well, not this past offseason, but the offseason before, they paid him a good amount of money on his contract. So it would, certainly be tough to move him if, if they wanted to go that route. So we'll see how that unfolds and what happens with, with that. And then you got the the tight ends and John Smith and Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry had a pretty good season last year and certainly was really good for us in the red zone. Had a good amount of red zone touchdowns for us, as well as executing in the middle of the field as well. So he certainly did a really good job in building that rapport with Mac Jones. He was another one of Mac Jones' favorite targets to go to in the red zone or just in passing downs and situations. And then, Johnny Smith really struggled to really get much of anything from him because he had a really tough first year with the Pats, coming from, Tennessee Titans and trying to, he tried to find a role in this offense and tried to be able to find some consistency, but we just didn't really see it with him. He didn't really play well at all last year. So hopefully in year two, with a year being in the system and, being in his second year, now, having a good idea of, of the system and the playbook and what they're trying to do, offensively. Hopefully he's able to have a much better year and play a lot better for us and be more of a factor and involved offensively. So we'll see how that goes. And then we have the running backs and, Damian Harris, who's also on a contract year. He's, certainly, I'd say our best, running back. He's, had a really good year last year for us. So, hopefully he can continue to, play well and, and may get better, this year and be able to be consistent and stay healthy. He battled through some injuries last year, but certainly was able to play through it for the most part, and and play at a pretty high level for us. So and this being a big year and a contract year for him, he's definitely going to need to prove that he can not only be consistent, but he can also stay healthy as well. And then got Ramondre Stevenson, who's also another running back for us. He's certainly the second guy in the two-headed monster. Uh, for the running backs, and he's certainly another guy who runs hard, is really physical. Also has a good amount of speed. So since even though he's a bigger running back, can certainly move for guys side and size and be able to get upfield pretty quickly. So hopefully we see better year from him this year. He played pretty well in his rookie season last year. So hopefully he can be able to continue to get better and to play well for us in his second year. And then we have last but not least Mac Jones, who had a really good year, I thought, in his rookie year, and being be starting the whole year. They started him week one. He ended up beating out Cam Newton for the job last year, and ended up being the starter, and played pretty well for us, and had one of the better rookie seasons that we've seen from a rookie quarterback so far. So I think now in his second year, he's certainly put in the work this offseason to be able to continue to develop and and improve, and really get better at the aspects of the game that he needed to get better at. So we'll see how that how that translates for him, and how that ends up helping him improve his game and as a quarterback with this team. But I certainly like what I've seen from him so far, and hope that he can be able to play just as well, or even better than he did the last last year for us. So Chris, I wanted to actually ask you a question. I don't know how you feel about Mac Jones, but I just wanted to ask your opinions and your thoughts on Mac Jones.
I think Mac Jones is a solid quarterback. Like, he fits. He's almost not, and I'm gonna preface it like this: he fits a Brady-like dynamic for them. Not going to say that they're going to win, they're going to run off another 6 and Mac Jones going to be there for 20 plus years. But I think he's going to be he's perfect for their offense. Like, I think he's perfect for what Bill Belichick does, like, in that system. And I think he'll be like the long term. I think you guys have found your franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. And I think this could give Bill Belichick another maybe 10, 15 years if he wants to still coach, potentially. When he has a franchise quarterback, they don't have to really search for it. I think he'll be a guy. I put it this way: he'll probably be like a cross between maybe a Kirk Cousins minus maybe the turnovers and kind of as far as the consistency. And I think he could be like a Brady-like kind of guy, but not in the realm of what Tom Brady. He can't replicate Tom Brady, but if he could be the remix to a Tom Brady, I think that's why I look at it from that standpoint of he's probably not going to be the one that's going to like wow you on the as far as if you look at his numbers, it's going to tell a different story compared to what you see out there in the field. But I think they have their franchise quarterback, and many times that we've done previews. I mean, pretty much people still searching for their franchise quarterback, and then to have that luxury of having a guy that you've had for 20 plus years, and then pretty much transition and get a guy that falls into your lap last year. So I mean, hey, that's the big thing there. Hey, you got your franchise quarterback, everything else will fall in place.
Absolutely, Chris. I definitely bring up some really good points, and I totally agree with you on about Mac Jones is that he's the prototypical quarterback that the Patriots and in particular Bill Belichick likes to have in his offense and stuff, and definitely has quite a bit of similarities to to Tom Brady in terms of his game and his style of play, and and what he brings to the table, from intangible standpoint, and also from a standpoint of the performance on the field. So I think while obviously he hasn't gotten to that level yet of Brady, and stuff, and since he's only been here for 1 year, but I certainly think that you're right, that it looks like as of right now we've found our guy to be pretty much Tom Brady's replacement, and to be the franchise quarterback, and to be the leader of this franchise and organization, but for the years to come moving forward. So definitely it seems like the future is bright for him, and this definitely gives the Patriots fans something to be excited about and look forward to, and like a breath of fresh air, since we were so desperately looking for that that next guy. And it's crazy that it only took us 1 year to find him. Since Cam Newton was here the year before him, so he unluckily were able to draft him the following year. Last year, right, we were able to get him with the 15th pick. So, excuse me. Hopefully, he can, be able to prove that he can really be, saying that franchise starting quarterback that a lot of people think he can be, and he can continue to get better and better every year. So I'm certainly excited and looking forward to seeing how Mac Jones does, as well as the rest of the offense this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's turn the focus to the defense. Your thoughts, your outlook on this team's defense.
Whew. So, Chris, it's there's been a lot of change with this defense. I'll start even with the corner position. So they ended up letting their top corner, J.C. Jackson, or as he likes to call himself, Mr. INT. Uh, he ended up going to the Chargers, and and since he was a free agent, the Patriots unfortunately weren't able to re-sign him, and he ended up signing a big 5-year deal with the L.A. Chargers. So they've like I said, brought several corners to try to come in to replace him. They've brought in Malcolm Butler back, who I still can't believe Malcolm Butler is back on this Patriots team, especially what happened at the Super Bowl against the Eagles. I never would have thought that the Patriots would be bringing him back on the team. But anyways, he's back. The Terrence Mitchell's here. He's another guy who is going to be playing corner before us, and another veteran corner who they signed to a short-term deal, a 1-year deal, to pretty much help them out in the secondary. So we'll see how he does. He's had a good game so far, and he thought he played, he was decent in the preseason game against the Giants last week. So we'll see how it goes for him. But they also ended up they still have Jonathan Jones, who was a slot and nickel corner, but now he's they're transitioning him to being an outside corner. So I feel like he's gonna play more, more outside than more, nickel and more slot. So we'll see how that transition goes with them. Apparently, they've been, liking what the Patriots have been liking what they've been seeing from him. So we'll see how, he does, moving forward, going into the season. And then they have Jalen Mills, who, is a corner that they signed last year. Um, from the Eagles. So they ended up, he was their second corner, and I think now is going to probably be their number one corner. So we'll see how he does with, being in that role now, being the top corner of the team. So, which is, tough because you're pretty covering the other team's best receiver. So we'll see how he's able to do with that. And then the linebacking core, Chris, is just a lot of uncertainty and unknown. They let all the old slow guys go, all the grandpas go. They had a bunch of he got old guys that just, couldn't move and didn't really have any speed and couldn't, move, sideline and sideline and be able to keep up with, with the opposing teams, and that being, Dante Hightower, was one of the guys that they ended up, deciding to not resign. I mean, we haven't heard any official word on him, but he certainly hasn't, shown it, made any indication that he's gonna come back to playing for the Patriots or any team. They ended up, also, letting go Jamie Collins, who's another kind of, was an older and slower linebacker, and Kyle Benoit, who is on the same boat as the Jamie Collins and Hightower, and being older and slower linebacker. So they he ended up signing with the Chargers, I believe, just recently. So he's in LA now with JC Jackson. But they ended up, they've recently drafted quite a bit of linebackers at that position, like Cam McGrone, Ronnie Perkins, Josh Uche. So all those guys are gonna get a good amount of, snaps and reps to, and opportunities to be able to show what they can do, defensively, and if they can be able to, you know, play well enough and be in earnest starting position at linebacker. So we'll see how that goes. With the linebackers, and then they also still have Juwan Bentley, who they ended up bringing back, who's a veteran, linebacker. And then they also have Mac Wilson, who, like I previously stated, they ended up trading for, and they, from the Browns, and is going to be, helping us in the linebacker position. So we'll see how, well he can be able to play and get acclimated, with us. And then they, look, so that's a lot of question marks with the linebackers, since, like I said, they have a lot of really young and unproven guys, but they do have more speed, which is what they, desperately needed. to add this year was more team speed um, on the defense. So then they still have, Matt Judon and, like guys like Lawrence Guy on the defensive line who's pretty good. And Judon's an absolute beast and monster and was certainly worth every penny that they signed him for last year. And he's, a really good, edge rusher and good to getting after the quarterback and be able to make him plays and causing havoc um, on the defensive line. They also got guys like Devon Godchild, who is a pretty solid defensive tackle. They got Carl Davis, who's solid on the defensive line as well. So we'll see how those guys go. But I'm certainly expecting guys like Matt Judon and Lawrence Guy to play pretty well and be forces on the defensive end. And how can I forget, Chris? I don't know if you know about this guy, but this is certainly one of my favorite players on the defensive side for the Patriots that who they drafted last year and who was one of our better draft picks that we've gotten recently, and that's Christian Barmore. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but yeah, he's a really good defensive lineman for us, and he plays in the middle with D tackle, but he can do a little bit of everything. He's good against the run. He's certainly a good pass rusher as well, and getting after the quarterback and being able to come up with the pressure up the middle of the offensive line and be able to break that pocket up and and get after the quarterback. Another thing coming up the middle, so he's definitely gonna be in his second year, I feel like a force to be reckoned with and have another really good season, since he's one of our top pass rushers and defensive playmakers on this team. So and then just last but not least, the safety position, you have veterans like Devin McCoy, who's still even at his age a very good safety, one of the top safeties in the game. So he'll be at free safety, and then you have guys like Kyle Duggar, who I like a lot, who is in his third year now. So he's starting to get more comfortable in the experience, and I feel like really finding his role in this defense, and certainly has had a good couple of years on that defense so far, and has certainly played pretty good football for us. And then another guy who I like on the back end of the defense is Adrian Phillips, who's also another safety. He's like another strong safety as well as Kyle Duggar, but he's versatile. So he's like a hybrid guy. They put him at sometimes a strong safety, sometimes they put him in a linebacker sort of position. So they move him around, all over the defensive side of the ball, and he pretty much is pretty good at everything and stuff. And, and he's a really tough, physical, guy who plays really hard and is a really smart football player. So, he's definitely been a good safety for us. He just got on the team last year and had a really good year last year. So I'm expecting that, more good things from him to come this year, and think he'll certainly, play pretty well with us. And then you have Jabril Peppers, who's another guy who's a safety, but he's coming off ACL injury. So we'll see how he does, and we'll see where he can find his role on the defense. They just recently activated him, off the PUP list, and he just got started practicing in camp. So we'll see how quickly he can get acclimated to the new defense, and where he'll be able to contribute in the secondary. So yeah, that's pretty much the outlook on the Patriots defense. It's it's a lot of youth and young guys on the defense, and proven guys, but certainly they did what they needed to do and get you know younger and faster, pretty much in all three levels, because they certainly got exposed by teams like the Buffalo Bills, who they couldn't even force a punt against. Chris, can you believe that we couldn't even make the Buffalo Bills punt last year? In the last two games that they played them, they dropped at least 40 plus points on us and had 0 punts in each one of those games. So hopefully, with the team speed that they've added on defense, and the youth that they have on the defensive side of the ball, they're able to keep up with with those high powered offenses, and or just really any offense in general. Hopefully they're able to be able to make those plays that they weren't able to make last year because of their lack of team speed on defense. So we'll see how that unfolds and how that goes for them defensively.
Is there a game on the calendar for the Patriots that you got circled on your calendar?
Whew, man. So, there's a lot of good games for the Patriots this year. They have a really tough schedule, and they're playing a lot of really good football teams on their schedule. But you're saying if it's one game that I had to circle?
Mm-hmm.
Whew, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough question, because there's quite a bit of games that I would consider as games to circle. But if I had to pick one, if you held a gun to my head and I had to pick just one of them to choose from, I would probably say it would be against the Raiders when they play Las Vegas, December 18th.
Okay.
And in Vegas, I'd probably say that would be the game to to circle on your calendar for for Patriot fans. That's one that I think certainly the biggest game of of the year for them, and one that I'm really excited about and looking forward to.
Okay. All right. And I got actually the $60 million question. In 2022, the New England Patriots will finish.
Whoo, man. It was just a thing. I got to make a record prediction on it. Ooh, that is tough, man. That is tough. And they got a. I'm just looking at the schedule now, and they got a really, really tough and difficult, schedule. Like I said, they're playing a lot of, good competition and good teams this year. But shoot, if I had to say, what their schedule would be, I think they're going to be 9-8.
Okay.
So I think they'll just finish slightly above, 500 this year, and they'll, in close to the record they had last year, but not quite there. Probably a game under their record they had, because they were 10-7 last year. I'm Not sure if they could go 10-7 again, since, like I said, they're playing a lot more, competitive, a lot more tougher, and and challenging schedule. But I think certainly 9-8 is where I see this team at, and what my prediction would be record wise for the Patriots this year.
Okay, cool. All right, definitely. Once again, we'll put a bow on the Patriots preview. So, Barry, where can they find you on social media, and also any upcoming project what you got going on?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on all social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Barry Ebua. If you type that in, you'll be able to find me on Facebook, on Instagram. Uh, at that be Money Lifestyle is my personal Instagram. Podcast that I'm doing, Pro Fan Sports podcast. Um, you can find that on on IG as well, on profans_sports, and you definitely want to check out the IG page, because I don't know if you've seen it, Chris, but the IG page is lit though.
Okay, all
You know what
right.
I'm saying? It's fire. We got some pretty dope and fire content on this. I don't know if you peeped or if you've seen it, but yeah, we got some good stuff on there. So definitely check that out, and check us, out on Facebook as well at Facebook.com/Profin Sports. You can check out our page there on Facebook, and then also on Twitter at Be Bunny Lifestyle, my personal Twitter account, and my podcast Twitter account is Profin Sports. So you can follow us on each one of those platforms, and hit us up on there. And we also on YouTube. So you definitely want to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to the to the channel, Pro Fan Sports Podcast on YouTube. If you uh, type that in, you'll be able to find our YouTube channel, and check out all our content and pages, or excuse me, or shows that we've done so far. We do shows every week. Just actually did one today right before I came on here. Just recorded this week's episode, so we'll have that come out either Wednesday or Thursday. Usually the episodes drop either on Wednesdays or Thursdays on YouTube. So you certainly want to be able to subscribe, so you can be able to get the notifications and be able to check out when the shows do come out, since we do have been getting a lot of big guests that have been coming on the show. We've gotten some guys who have played in the NFL, gotten some NFL players on there recently, as well as even guys who were either former executives or who covered the league, who are media guys and our reporters that pretty cover the league extensively. So we definitely got a lot of you know really good guests that have been on the show and that are coming up. So you definitely want to stay locked in and tune in to us every week, and and make sure you follow our content, because yeah, we come out with really good stuff. We even had Tyrone Poole on. I don't know if you're familiar with Tyrone
Yeah.
Poole, Chris, but yeah, he came on a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. It was August 1st that we had him on the show, and he was one of the best guests that we've had, and he was a really great guest, and a really great guy, and gave us a really good interview, as well as James Canada, who was also another guy who played in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Colts, and certainly gave us another really good interview as well, and is another really really great guy, and was a really good guest for us. So we've been blessed and fortunate to have guys like that come on the show, and we definitely have many more guests and many more former players that'll be coming on in the future moving forward. So definitely looking forward to having you know bigger and better guests, and doing more shows for ProFin Sports. So yeah, it's a really good platform. We're based in the Boston area. It's me and two other guys that do the show, that host the show, and we're all from Boston, so it definitely has some Boston flavor to it, and we talk a good amount about Boston sports, but we also do some national sports and like sports outside of Boston, and talk about like some things that are going on nationally as well, in the NFL and in the NBA and stuff. So we try to hit on as much topics and cover as much, get as much content and cover as much, news that's going on around the leagues as we can. So I've been doing it for a couple years now. We just hit our 100th episode in March, so well over 100 episodes now, and we've been really hitting our stride, and really you know got in our group as far as putting out good content every week consistently, and coming up with really good guests that have given us great and amazing interviews. So it's certainly been a great experience for me, and I'm very blessed and grateful and thankful that I've been able to start a podcast with with those guys, and that they gave me the opportunity to be able to work with them, and it's gone even better than I thought and could have ever imagined. So it's definitely a dream come true, and I'm just definitely looking to continue to improve and get better, every single week, and continue to keep coming out with really good, content for people to follow and to be able to watch and listen to every week. So yeah, I'm glad that I'm able to do something that I really love to do, and that I really enjoy, doing, since I'm not, since some people don't, get the opportunities to be able to do something that they really love to do and something that they're passionate about. So I'm certainly glad that, I've been able to get that opportunity and take, advantage of it, when I got it. So yeah, definitely check out the podcast and subscribe to the channel. Whether you're a Boston sports fan or just a sports fan in general, it's a good podcast to listen to. Be like listening to good sports talk and knowledgeable sports talk from from people who are passionate about sports, and really love talking about about the sports, and about the games. So definitely check us out, and look us up on all social media platforms, and on YouTube as well. And we are, we appreciate all the support that we get from all of our fans and from everyone who wants to support us. We're grateful and thankful for you know for anyone who supports and listens and watches the show.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll put a bow on this Patriots preview, man. We'll catch you guys on the next team, and we're out.